Duffy here on the Threatened Species team, and also Sharon Gillum in Science, who we like to claim as our own and we work with closely, to talk about how we use BDBSA in threatened species policy. And the key message is that BDBSA really is integral to our work in a multitude of ways. It underpins so much of what we are able to do, and so much of the information that is used by other stakeholders who are working on threatened species or who interact with policy and legislation that relates to threatened species. So our team provides input to a range of policy, planning and regulatory processes within DO that interact with or impact on threatened species. And in doing that work, we use BDBSA as our go-to reference list of which species are currently threatened, both at the state and national level, and where they occur. BDBSA data is also used by a range of stakeholders in threatened species management. So, for example, as Sonia mentioned, developers can use BDBSA to work out what threatened species may occur in their project area. Local councils and other land managers can work out what threatened species are on their land or in their jurisdiction, and they can use that to help guide their land management strategies and development plans. And we also use BDBSA to help us work out who to consult with. If we're coordinating input on a threatened species listing assessment or recovery plan, conservation advice, development guidelines for a particular species, we can use BDBSA to work out in what regions that species occurs and on what land tenures it occurs, and that helps us identify who we need to consult with. One of our critical projects in which we are very reliant on BDBSA is in the assessment of threatened species, both at the state scale for listing under the National Parks and Wildlife Act and at the national scale for listing under the EPBC Act. When we assess threatened species, we use standard international criteria set by the IUCN, and they require data on things like extent of occurrence, how big is the entire area that the species is distributed over, the area of occupancy, what areas within that distribution is occupied by the species, how many locations the species at, how big those populations are, and trends over time in both distribution and population size. The spatial data we get from BDBSA, including customised data extractions and analysis, is really critical in helping us to answer those questions. So we can identify which species should be listed as threatened and what category they should be listed in, from rare to critically endangered or even extinct. We've also used data from the plant population database, which is a component of BDBSA, which can provide useful information about particular populations, such as the size, extent, recruitment, and threats. So one of the main hurdles we face when using BDBSA data is that it doesn't always accurately reflect species distributions. And there can be a range of reasons for this, such as gaps in survey effort or data submission, backlogs in data entry or in plant specimens that need to be reviewed by the herbarium, or taxonomic changes that require reviews of records or specimens. So most of these issues come down to resourcing. The impact of these gaps and inaccuracies is that our assessments take longer, and it takes us much more effort to try and chase up data from available sources, and we're more likely to get the assessment outcome wrong. And that can impact on developers too if there are erroneous records in their area of development or species that are wrongly listed. So really all of these issues go to show how valuable BDBSA is in species assessments and how lost we'd be if we didn't have it at all. But it also demonstrates real value in investing in maintaining and improving BDBSA and addressing these gaps and backlogs to help support that credible evidence-based decision making. Another hurdle at times is our own limited understanding of BDBSA, both in terms of functionality or understanding the full range of data sources that are available. So training like this today is really useful. Thanks. And in terms of our wish list, firstly I'd like to encourage everyone to submit survey and monitoring data and opportune records, even at sites where those species may have been previously recorded, because that data really does make a difference and does get put to good use. In terms of a wish list of BDBSA, it would be great to see the resources there to just really make it and keep it more current, comprehensive and responsive, including support for data entry and validation, chasing up data that hasn't been submitted, taxonomic and identification work, and targeted surveys and monitoring for priority species, using the expertise we have in groups like the Sea Conservation Centre. And finally, I think there's real opportunities for our team to better collaborate with science and information and co-design our data management, analysis and information product outputs to really make the most of what BDBSA has to offer and better meet our business needs. So thank you, BDBSA.